Have you been thinking for a while, man, I should have bought me some Bitcoin a long time ago, back when the price was $1,000? But you think it's too late? It's not. Today, I'm going to explain how you can get started with Bitcoin using Cash App right now in as little as 10 minutes. I'm going to explain some things that you need to consider before jumping right in, who this is a good fit for, who it's not a good fit for, and for those it's not a good fit for, some recommendations that might work better for you. Let's jump right in. Now, there are some things you need before you can just get started with doing this. You will need to download Cash App on probably either the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. Um, Links down below. I have my referral code as well down there. Please use it. Helps me out. It will help you out. Um, you'll get $5 once you you know move around your first $5 in the app. And the second thing you'll need, this probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. You need a bank account that you are signatory to, that you can link in the Cash App once you've downloaded it and set everything up. Now, hopefully, if you've clicked on this video and you're actually thinking about buying Bitcoin, my first point that I think everybody needs to understand is that crypto is volatile. Hopefully, you understand this already, but if you don't, I'll highlight it very quickly. Now, for the purpose of this video, I'm only going to focus on Bitcoin because that's the actual topic of the video, but this advice holds for just about any cryptocurrency, probably even more so. But this just shows from this is a 1 month chart. It shows back 1 month ago we were at 23,375. We've been as high as roughly 41,000. We've had some bad news lately. We're currently at 32,000. So that's, as you can see, that's a big swing up and down. Just understand that before you get into Bitcoin. But the long-term projections are it's going to go up quite a bit. All right, the next thing you need to understand here is the what I call them the in-house rules of buying Bitcoin and holding cryptocurrency. As of right now, they only have Bitcoin, but they I would suspect they may add more in the future. But first off, this is only for United States residents as of right now. This is right here in their terms. Eligibility and identity verification. You have to be a United States resident, be 18 years old, be of the age of majority in your state of residence, which I don't know all of them in every state, but you have to use it in the United States and provide additional information as discussed in the next section. You have to go through what's called a know your customer process. This you can still buy it while this is pending. I'm actually, when I signed up, mine is still pending as of 24 hours ago. That only means I can't withdraw it off yet. It's not a big deal. I was happy to buy some Bitcoin on Cash App for the purpose of this video. Now here in the identity verification, this is what I refer to as know your customer. They explain everything you're going to have to do. This is pretty standard across any cryptocurrency exchange service, anywhere where you can buy it. You're going to this is similar to think about what you need to provide to start a bank account or a brokerage account. Standard stuff. If you're not comfortable with it, you don't have to participate, but it's your choice. So something we got to talk about here is the limits of what you can buy, sell, whatever per week. So you can purchase 100,000 per week. That shouldn't be a problem for most people. I know it's not for me. You can sell unlimited. Don't sell Bitcoin. I don't recommend it. Deposit, you can bring in $10,000 per week. And withdrawing, you can do 2,000 per day, 5,000 per week. You know, that just has to be mentioned because it could matter to somebody. The next thing you need to understand is there's a fee for buying Bitcoin on Cash App. Now, they're not as upfront as some other services that I will cover in later videos on their fees. But basically, you're getting it. They're charging you for the spread on from what they bought it for and what they're selling it to you for, and with a little fee added on. It's not always straightforward as how they do that. Here's the page. I'll link this if you want to read it. But when you buy it, you are shown the fee you're being charged, and I'll display that here in a minute when I give my walkthrough demo of how I went from starting once I had the account set up to when I was buying my first currency. But you need to understand that. I think everyone needs to understand before they buy their first Bitcoin is the tax implications of owning, holding, and selling Bitcoin. It's treated just like any other investment. I pulled up the IRS page on cryptocurrency here. You can see it. This is the cryptocurrency FAQs. Question 4, will I recognize a gain or loss when I sell my virtual currency for real currency? Answer, yes. When you sell virtual currency, you must recognize any capital gain or loss on the sale, subject to any limitations on the deductibility of capital losses. Okay. Now the focus of this video is not crypto taxes. I'm going to do a video on that in the future because I have to calculate mine anyway, and frankly, it makes a great topic. But what you need to know from the perspective of CashApp is that you will get tax information at the end of the year. They will provide you a Form 1099-B. It's in their FAQ, and I've pulled it up right here. They explain that you will get it based on the W-9 information you provided when you first signed up, which I will cover that here in the future. Now, another thing I think you need to understand before you buy Bitcoin on Cash App is that once you accumulate enough, you're eventually going to want to transfer it off of Cash App. Now, you need to understand that moving around Bitcoin is not cheap. It costs Bitcoin to move Bitcoin. I'm not going to get into a full breakdown of how much this will cost you, but let's just say that moving a small amount of Bitcoin is not worth it because you pay far more than it's worth. So just keep that in mind. You might be better off accumulating a larger chunk of Bitcoin before you transfer it off to another exchange or wallet or something. Now, I know there will be somebody out there that's going to ask, but is it safe to buy Bitcoin on Cash App and keep it there? Well, it's a major U.S. financial company. It's been approved to do business by the SEC and all the feds. So I would consider it as safe as holding coins on any major United States exchange like Coinbase, Kraken, or Gemini. You can see it on here. They have the Cash App security page, and I've highlighted right here. They're not giving details, but they say the Bitcoin balance is securely stored in their offline system. So as to how they're exactly implementing that, I don't know. But if they're storing it offline, that is safer than keeping it live on in a server or something like that. So hopefully that answers the safety topic. Now, one final thing that can't be ignored is the fact that you have to have a balance of at least 0.0001. That's 10,000th of a Bitcoin to make a withdrawal. Now, with Bitcoin's current prices at roughly $35,000, that's only $3.50. Now, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I don't recommend moving around small amounts of Bitcoin like that because you will get eaten alive with fees. So just keep that in mind. That's something that you need to consider. But in my opinion, if that's an issue for you, you shouldn't be doing this anyway. This is more of a way to accumulate easily. Do not put money in that you're going to need to pull out quickly, or if you're not in a position to be able to live without that money for a little bit of time. Look, if you need to get your finances in a better situation where you're not maybe in a paycheck to paycheck situation or something, there's plenty of content out there for that. This you should only put money into this after you've taken care of whatever obligation you have. I can't speak to everybody's situation. Everybody's different, but take care of your other obligations first. Make sure your family's eating. Make sure you've got your bills paid. You know, you have a little bit of fiat savings, whatever the case may be. I can't speak to every financial philosophy. May do some videos on that in the future, but you know, that's very important to say because, like I said before, in the tax portion, there's tax implications, and every time you buy some Bitcoin and sell it, you've just hit another taxable event. So you don't want to be going in and out of it a lot, you know, rapidly. So once you're set up, buying the actual coin is very simple. You see here, you click buy. You have these options. You can go one time, daily, weekly, every 2 weeks. But you can't pick the days for any of those. I will tell you, for the recurring purchases, it's only it's going to start the day you're doing it. Now here I did $10, and boom, and we're good. Now I want to pause this right here, and we're going to do some quick math to figure out the fees that we were charged. 2.2% fee. 2.2% fee there for the $10 purchase. I'll calculate out for the recurring purchase. It should be about the same, but we'll find out here. And boom, we are now the proud owners of a decimal points worth of bit. Now here we're setting up a recurring purchase. At this point I went weekly. I think I went 20. Did I go 20? No, I went 10. And confirm. I'm going to pause this. Wow, this looks the same as before. So again, 2.2%. That's not egregious. That's probably in the range of average. I've seen higher for cryptos. So click confirm. And I bought $10 worth of Bitcoin. Now, something that I like to do is to have multiple options for dollar cost averaging. And as I said before, if you merely want exposure to Bitcoin and that's all you want, and you're okay with just putting in a little bit daily, weekly, whatever, this is going to work out fine for you. But I wanted to test this out to see what options are there for having multiple daily, multiple scheduled buys. And so I had already set up my first buy that you saw earlier, and then I tried to set up a second one just to see what would happen. And I didn't see anywhere in the terms and conditions where they explicitly said this. I'm sure it's buried in there somewhere, but I didn't see it. So here we go, try to create a new daily purchase. It tells you, do you want to cancel your other purchase? And then I paused it right here to show that you can only have one recurring purchase. So that is a limitation. It's not a deal breaker, I shouldn't think, for most people, but it's something you got to consider. Thing that needs to be understood before you start buying here, and I will highlight it here in a second on the screen. But basically what it boils down to is that Square CashApp is not necessarily always going to broadcast your purchase of Bitcoin to the network. Now, why might that be important? Well, if you decide to dig into the ledgers and the public blockchain, you're not going to see you owning that Bitcoin. Also, that means that CashApp Square is fully they own your keys. Now, this is not going to be a deep dive rabbit hole for your keys, your coin type stuff on this video, but understand that you're trusting them to custody your crypto. And one other final thing I want to point out before I read the legalese on the screen is that should you decide to transfer Bitcoin within the Cash App to another Cash App user, they maintain what amounts to an internal ledger. Now, from a Bitcoin economics sense, this makes perfect sense in that it it keeps more Bitcoin in the hands of the end user, because every time you transact on Ledger on the Bitcoin network, the fees are high when those have to be mined through validators. So just keep that in mind. Now here's the legal mumbo jumbo that I was referring to, and it says, and I quote, Cash App may allow you to initiate peer-to-peer Bitcoin transfers to other Cash App customers within the app. These are off-chain transactions facilitated by Square. As such, they are not broadcast to the Bitcoin network and will not be reflected on the public ledger. Now, what this means to you is, like I said, you are trusting them with your coins. They are going to take care of it. That also means that they have an internal ledger of transactions, because they don't want to incur all these costs by constantly broadcasting on the Bitcoin network either. That's a good thing. I think this could be the way that banks operate in the future. We will see. Possibly a video for, way later down the road, but it's a good concept, I think. Now, as to who I think buying Bitcoin on Cash App is a good suggestion for, it's going to be somebody who probably already uses Cash App extensively for other purposes. Somebody who doesn't have any Bitcoin at all, and you're only interested in Bitcoin. Maybe you're interested in buying small amounts occasionally, or dollar cost averaging your way in. Whatever the way, I think this is probably a good choice for these type of people. And it obviously goes without saying that you need that flexibility in your budget. Like I'd mentioned before, that's going to be with any crypto platform. You're gonna need some extra funds in order to do it. It doesn't grow on trees. It's not out of thin air like what you hear some people say. You need fiat to move into it. So just consider that. Now, as to who I would not recommend buy Bitcoin on Cash App, there's lots of possibilities here. The first is, if you already hold other crypto, this should be obvious. You don't need to buy it on Cash App. There's tons of other places where you can get it. You probably already know this. The second is, if you're interested in buying other cryptos, this is probably not for you. That I would recommend it for the person who just wants to get a little bit of Bitcoin, maybe accumulate a little bit, and move on. Now, there's a couple other situations where I wouldn't recommend people buy on Cash App, and that's one, the situation where you're financially in dire straits. You need a little bit of cushion to be able to do this. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be a little bit. The second is, if you're far on the other end of the spectrum, and Warren Buffett, if you're watching this, thanks, but I'm sure you can find much smoother ways of buying Bitcoin. You don't need to do it here. You'll figure it out. I'm sure of that. Also, if you're moving around large sums of crypto, or you're withdrawing large sums into fiat frequently, this is not going to be for you, because as I covered earlier, the limits are going to make it less than optimal for you. And finally, if you meet all the other baseline requirements and you think it's a good idea, but you want to be able to set up more than one recurring buy, or you want to buy more than Bitcoin, well, there's other options out there for you, and I'll cover those here in just a second. Now, if you want the exposure to crypto, maybe without some of the headache, but you want a couple more coins, you could look at PayPal. PayPal has Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Ethereum available. However, you don't have the possibility of withdrawing them to your own wallet. And the second immediate recommendation I would make is to take a look at the Voyager app, link down below, of course. There's many more coins available here. You can absolutely withdraw them to your own private wallet. You do have to go through the same KYC process. I will cover it in a future video, so please stick around, subscribe for that here in the near future. But it's a great app. I use it. You can set up, as far as I know, as many recurring buys as you want. I dollar cost average into Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's great. I really love it. Link down below. By the way, if you dig the shirt, it says, "I told you so." I'll put a link in the description. It's an affiliate link for Amazon. Well, that's it for this video. If you feel this content was useful and you'd like to see more of it in the future, please give me a like and subscribe. I plan on making videos very soon about how to buy Bitcoin on PayPal, Voyager, Robinhood, probably, just to break down and break through some of these topics for those new to the industry. I think it's very important, and that's why I have this channel in the first place, is to share good information with others out there who I think could benefit from it. Again, thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.